This system, which MTH has named DCS, is a full-featured digital command system that can bring a lot more fun to the operation of your O-gauge trains. DCS is capable of doing some very neat things, but before we get into the details, I want to show you the three main components that make up the DCS system. They are the remote control, the TIU, or track interface unit, and the AIU, or the accessory interface unit. The first thing I'd like to do is to take a quick look at this remote, because I think that might be the best way for us to get started. If you already have DCS, go get your remote, power it up, and follow along with me as we check out the various buttons and menus. At the top of the remote is a small LCD screen that displays information about what's going on with the system at any given moment. We'll be spending a lot of time looking at this display. Below the LCD window are a series of 5 buttons. These are called soft keys. This is a computer term that simply means that these keys do different things depending on what's showing above them in the LCD. The button on the right is also the on-off button, which is used for turning the remote control on or off. You press it briefly to turn it on, press and hold it to turn it off. This little button, just below the on-off button, is the microphone button. There's actually a microphone built into this remote, and when you press this button, you can make your own voice come out of the sound system on a Proto Sound 2 locomotive. MTH calls this feature Proto Dispatch. These gray buttons are used to operate some of the more advanced functions of the system. This button, marked TR, is used when operating in conventional mode and is used to address a specific track. The SW button is the switch button. If you use the accessory interface unit, or AIU, you can program your track switches into the remote and operate all of them from right here. You no longer need to build a big control panel, bristling with switch levers, toggle switches, and buttons. Just below these buttons are a couple you might recognize. This yellow button rings the bell, and the WH button blows the horn or whistle. The ENG button in the middle is for selecting engines. We'll take a closer look at how that button works a little bit later. This thumb wheel is the throttle. It's also used as a selection button when you're working in the various menus. This gray button is the button you use to access the 4 main menus: Sound, System, Control, and Advanced. Within each of those menus are a lot of features that let you set up DCS the way you want it. This red button is the direction button. Directional control is a little different in command mode because there is no neutral. These 2 buttons allow you to temporarily change how your engine sounds and how much smoke it makes and how fast it goes. And this button operates the coil couplers on the front or rear of a locomotive. Finally, these number buttons allow you to enter numbers and also quickly access other features of DCS, such as turning the smoke on and off with the push of a button. You can turn the headlight on and off with this button, or change the overall volume of the sound system with these 2 buttons. The remote talks to this device, the TIU, or track interface unit. Communication between the two is wireless in the 900 MHz band, which is a band that is usually interference-free. However, if you're using DCS on a modular layout in a large arena, for example, interference may be a problem due to other communications devices which also operate in the 900 MHz band. If that happens, MTH has provided a way for you to still be able to use the DCS remote by plugging a standard 4-wire phone cable here and into the mating plug on the TIU. Okay, that's a quick look at the remote. Now let's take a look at the TIU. Let's start here on the input side of the TIU. There are 4 sets of power input connectors here, 1 for each of the 4 channels in each TIU. As we move around the corner, you can see this plug, marked Proto Dispatch. Remember when I told you the remote had a mic button built into it? You can use that mic, or if you want somewhat better quality of sound, you can use a mic plugged in here to use Proto Dispatch. This is where the AIU, the accessory interface unit, plugs in. It uses a standard 6-wire telephone cable. Using an AIU can allow you to control everything on your layout: lights, accessories, switches, even the coffee pot if you want to. This plug, marked Protocast, is a very unique feature of DCS. If you plug a cassette or CD player into this jack, you can actually play music or sound effects through the sound system on a Proto Sound 2 locomotive. You could run your train around the Christmas tree playing Christmas carols out of the sound system, or highball down the main line playing Chattanooga Choo Choo. Over on this side are the 4 power output connectors. Each one is labeled to match the corresponding input connector on the other side. Down on this end of the TIU, there are a couple more plugs you may want to use. This is the auxiliary power jack. There are 2 ways to power the TIU itself, and I'll show you both methods when we hook up the TIU on the layout. This 9-pin plug is called a serial plug, and it's used for 2 things. You can connect the Lionel Trainmaster command system here, but you can also connect a computer here to do upgrades to the software contained within the TIU and the remote. If you're operating the DCS system at a big train show and you find that you had interference from other communications devices that may be in use, this is where you can hardwire the remote to the TIU with this plug. This will let you operate the DCS systems in areas of high levels of radio frequency interference. This plug is also used to update the software inside the remote. That's a very quick rundown of all the buttons, plugs, and connectors on the remote and the TIU.